This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof Wolff question from our Patreon community. This one comes from David Lewis, and he explains in his question that he's been looking at airlines here in the United States, and he notices that 2 or 3 companies are doing real well, profiting, growing, and that they meet their pilots' demands for decent working conditions and wages reasonably. But then he compares that to another airline where he says that also is growing, that also is profitable, but there the company, the board of directors of the corporation are sticking it to the pilots, not giving them anything like what pilots at other airlines are getting. And he wants to know 2 things. What might be going on? And number 2, how can you make the third company be as good for its pilots as the other 2 companies when all are profiting and all are growing again? So let me begin. The answer to the question, what might be going on, to explain this is so many things that we don't have the time to go into them all. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. It's possible, because this happens all the time, that the big executives of that third airline that's not treating its pilots real well, it may be that they have gotten a deal where they get bonuses at the end of the year depending on how profitable they are. Not how fast they're growing, none of that, but just how profitable they are. So whereas in the other airlines, they don't do it that way, they don't have the incentive to squeeze their workers. But in this airline, there is that incentive. If you want that big bonus at the end of the year and you're the CEO or the CFO, well, then you're going to be rigidly repressing your pilots and other workers in order to get those profits up there so they activate and trigger your bonus. That's possible. Here's another one. That the people who own that third airline, the board of directors of the corporation, are looking to sell the airline to somebody else. And so they want to show nice growth, they want to show nice profits, but they don't want to sign anything with workers that might make a prospective buyer say, oh, I'm going to have to pay workers a lot. They would like a prospective buyer to see workers whose wages have been kept low, and et cetera, et cetera. I could go on, but I want people to understand, and I want to answer David's question. Once you have a capitalist system in which a tiny group of people are the owners, the employers, the big shareholders, whatever they are, once you have a small group like that with the power that capitalism gives them inside the enterprise, you never know what exactly they're doing. Their strategies, their goals, that's a secret. They can keep that secret. All the workers know is what the results are. And in the case of what David brings to us, it's a case where workers, pilots, are being stiffed in an airline because the board of directors has decided on some strategy that makes it useful to stiff the pilots. And what can you do about it? Well, I'm afraid, David, that the answer I have to give you, if I'm going to be honest, isn't going to make you happy. There isn't much you can do about it. That's the way capitalism works. It's a system in which the vast majority of people working at an airline, the pilots, the mechanics, the flight attendants, all of them, that's a large number. They live under the shadow of whatever a tiny number of people, the major shareholders, the board of directors, people can get into one small room all together at one time. Those people's strategies and goals and objectives will determine what they do, what secret plans they make, what deals they cut, and the pilots and the mechanics and the flight attendants will have to live with the results. You know, the truth is there is something you can do, but it's a big thing. But it's the only honest thing to tell you. You got to change the way businesses are organized. That's what we do at Democracy at Work. We advocate for what? For worker co-ops. We advocate that if the people who work in a company all have to live with the decisions that are being made, about flight routes if you're an airplane, about procedures, and about wages and about working conditions, if everybody has to live in that community that works that way, then everybody ought to participate in deciding how to run it. Not a tiny group of people with their own secret objectives and everybody else has to live with the consequences. No, no, no. That's not democratic. That's not fair. We shouldn't have that. And if pilots were part of a community of workers who together made decisions, then you could make sure that pilots get a fair shake, that all the different workers get a fair shake and are not held hostage to a tiny group of people at the top whose goals for profits and bonuses have to do with them and often at the expense of the rest of the people. If discussions like this about basic issues, workplace issues that are the ones we face all day, every day when we go to work, if these kinds of conversations are something you agree with us ought to be had in this country all the time, everywhere, in the airline industry, but beyond, then we ask you, be a partner with us. Share these videos. That's why we make them. With your friends, your coworkers, your family, it doesn't really matter. The point is to get people thinking and talking and discussing with one another the kinds of changes that can really solve problems. So do partner with us. That's why we do it. And of course, if you can help us financially, go to our website, take a look. There's plenty of ways to do that, and that will help as well. Thank you.